I wanted to do another Can Cheaper Be Better episode this week, and I've come up with an absolute gem. This is the Botslab W312, and although that might be a particularly immemorable name, the experience is far from it. It's a Wi-Fi connected security camera with 4 spotlights built into the body, full 360-degree AI tracking, and costs, at the time of this review, just £59.99. If you use the £30 voucher on Amazon, that is. Now, why is this so special? Well, a few months ago I featured the Eufy Solocam S340, which has some great features for sure, but at a price that might be deeper than many people's pockets. So with this in mind, I wanted to investigate some cheaper options when this popped into my inbox. And what can I say? Straight away, this is a menacing looking camera with its hefty size and form factor. Put it this way, it's certainly not an inconspicuous device, and do you know what? I kind of like that. Some people like having security cameras that kind of blend into the surroundings so that you don't feel watched. Me, on the other hand, I want the exact opposite. I want people to know when I'm watching them. And that sounds a bit creepy. Let's try that again. I want people to feel like Frodo being probed by the eye of Sauron. No, that's not much better, is it? Jokes aside, I think there's a significant amount of deterrent in just the visibility of security cameras, and I think this certainly provides that deterrent. From a distance at night, it looks like it has 4 glowing red eyes that are about to shoot you with lasers if you get too close. Of course, it won't actually do that. These 4 red eyes aren't death rays. Instead, they're the infrared emitters, which, given that there's 4 of them, absolutely paint the place at night for superb night vision. Measuring the distance of its visibility, it seems to quite easily hit around 20 meters in luminance, possibly even further if there's no obstructions at all, which is perhaps some of the best night vision I've seen from a smart camera in this range. Now, it's not just its appearance that's a deterrent either. It's got a built-in siren too, which I've yet to test. So let's go and have a go on that. Let's have a listen to this then. Look at that! Now, it's actually got a pretty big speaker on the rear, which can also be used to talk directly through the camera too, like a voice from the heavens. But you may have noticed a second ago with that siren test that those 4 IR emitters aren't just IR emitters. Botslab have actually built in spotlights into the same oculi, which is quite an interesting design. That means that you're able to switch from the IR to full colour night vision with the 4 giant floodlights flooding the place with light. And again, because it has 4 of them, the colour night vision is just as good as its IR night vision. Word of warning though, if you position this next to a wall or obstacle, the night vision and the spotlights will cause a mismatch in the exposure. So the best place to put this is going to be where it has the least obstruction. For example, a 180-degree unobstructed view. By doing that, you'll get the best possible picture and the best possible experience with the IR and floodlights, which, let's face it, if you get it right, people aren't going to be hiding from. And with its inbuilt AI, it makes it even more difficult to hide from. Much like some of my favourite offerings from last year, this has AI to detect particular events and can tell you when there's human motion. But along with this, it uses that data to track the motion through its entire 360-degree movement. And the tracking is fast too. And it seems to work particularly well, locking onto a subject and not letting them out of sight until they're long gone. And if you wanted to, you are able to do some manual controlling of the camera. And what's quite cool here is that it generates a panorama for you to quick tap so that the camera can spring to that location within the actual control, something which is usually hidden away in the menu. So it's actually great to have that in a more accessible place. But then I guess with AI and motion tracking, it's not likely you'll be using that manual control too much. Interestingly, There are a few extra forms of AI that this can achieve rather than just human and motion tracking, and the way that Botslab have chosen to do this is quite different from other manufacturers. In the app, which is relatively simple to navigate, at the bottom you can select both past recorded events and the AI skill store. Now this allows you to essentially shop through AI skills that Botslab offer and pick and mix your ideal AI system. It's quite a unique method of enabling AI control on the security system, and do you know what? I do actually like it. I think it simplifies the entire system, and it means that you aren't overloaded with settings for features that you'll never use. Like pet detection, for example, in my case. On most systems that I test, I turn off pet detection because my dogs are running around all the time, as are the geese, as are the horses that go by. Turning this setting off on other devices often still leaves a load of settings in the menu subsystems that just clutters up the interface. With Botslab, I can choose not to install this skill, and therefore I'll never see the settings for it. And I think this way of doing it is actually really quite clever for that reason. Although, as a disclaimer, all of the skills at the moment seem to be free, but I guess there could be an option here for them to add paid skills too, which I'd be less favourable of. I hope they don't, but they certainly could. Now, I've spoken about the night vision being excellent. The daytime quality is also really good. And I wasn't expecting cinema level quality, but at 2.5K resolution, it's actually really respectable. The resolution is able to offer a good amount of digital zoom and retain some of the details at further distances, which you can see from the eye test I like to put cameras through. I will say that although it's only 2.5K, it's exceeded my expectations when it comes to the quality and colour of the image, because a lot of security cameras that I've tried around this price range just don't come close to this level of quality, so I'm quite impressed. In fact, I'd say this has probably one of the best pictures within this price bracket that I've come across so far. So that's a pretty big accolade right there. And everything that it captures, it typically stores in the cloud. And interestingly, you get free access to a base plan for a year after purchasing, which gives you a 5-second clip storage in the cloud. It's not a lot, but it is free. You can extend this with their plans, which aren't too bad at $7 a month. But if you didn't want to pay for cloud storage, you can utilize the onboard SD card slot for local storage. But here is where the Botslab offers something that many smart cameras don't offer, because there's a third method of storage, and that's through the ability to work with an NVR system. Now, for those wondering what that is, it stands for Network Video Recording System, and it comes with a ton of benefits. Now, although I've not actually used this camera with this type of technology, and actually, I should probably tell you the truth, in the past I've often shunned hardwired network cameras, but I hate to say that recently I'm kind of warming to the idea, because it's getting very hard to deny that there are some rather obvious benefits for using them. And the biggest and most obvious is that you're able to get a much more reliable connection to your cameras that's a hell of a lot quicker. You can't argue in recent years, though, that fully wireless systems have gotten better and better in terms of connectivity. But I know that all of us with wireless security systems or wireless doorbells have had the same experience at some point, where you've got a notification on your phone that someone's at your door, you've gone to check who that is, and then by the time the video feed is loaded, that person has already been into your house and done something unsavoury in your panty drawer. It's happened to all of us. Having the NVR capability removes at least one middleman with the wireless connection between the camera and the network, and therefore it speeds things up quite a bit. And it also means that you can use a much larger storage system hooked up to your NVR for continuous 24/7 higher quality recording, something which a lot of wireless systems lack, and something that I know a lot of people will want with their home security. I just love the fact that Botslab have included this particular feature, not as a forced way of connecting, but as an optional way of connecting. It's something that I wish many of the current systems would do, so it's fantastic to see a brand offering this ability if you wish to hardwire it in, whilst also making it not mandatory, which a lot of NVR cameras don't seem to do. Now, this is one of the very few smart security cameras that can do both, and I think we should really give Botslab a little clap for that. Even though I sing the praises that Botslab have included the hardwired as an option, the wireless connectivity is really snappy. It connects directly to your Wi-Fi rather than a hub, so the range will be slightly limited to where you have a good Wi-Fi signal, although Botslab have included a rather large antenna system on the top to make sure it can grab even weak signals for fast connectivity. So although you can hardwire it, those that don't want to will still have a really quick connectivity from my experience anyway. Now, there are a few things that I think Botslab could improve in future iterations of this to make it a serious heavyweight competitor, and the first is the cable system. Oddly, the Botslab W312 is the first camera that I've tested that requires it to be powered by a plug. Now, I think this is an extremely unusual choice for an outdoor security camera, but after some reflection, I actually think that some people will find this a rather welcome addition. It might restrict people slightly on where they want to use it, because unlike cameras that I've reviewed in the past that work from an internal battery and solar panel, you need to place this near a power outlet. But another slightly odd choice to do with this cable was the decision to hardwire both the power and a network into the same cable, which in itself is hardwired into the camera. This means that you've got an extra bit of cable that you have to try and tuck away and hide somewhere and make a little bit neater if you're not hardwiring. And you know how much I hate unnecessary cables, but also being hardwired into the camera, it means that you've got no other way of powering it other than the DC adapter that it comes with. It would have been good, perhaps, to have used USB-C to power the camera, which in turn could have given it a lot more flexibility in how it's used and how potentially even you could have swapped it out for an external battery or solar panel to power it. Botslab could have even manufactured those accessories, so it's not just the consumer that's missing out on the flexibility, there's some accessory revenue that Botslab are missing out on too. From a software perspective, it's actually been really good. The only thing I would love to see in a future update is the ability to filter the AI skill store based on compatibility with the camera that I have. It's great seeing all of the AI skills that Botslab products are capable of, but it's a little bit disappointing when you go through the menu system and you add something to your system only to find out that that particular skill isn't compatible with the camera that you have. Like with mine, I found out that identity recognition wasn't compatible, even though I could look through the skill itself and get to the checkout or the adding stage for that skill. Fortunately, that's just an app update, so fingers crossed this is something that Botslab bring out in the near future. But other than those few things, I've been a little bit taken aback by the experience. For a product with this many features that comes close to some of my favourite tech from last year, yet at a price point that's around 60% cheaper, what's not to love about that? If you think you're able to work with some of the limitations that being plugged in has, then this is a fantastic option for smart security. And it's actually got me thinking about Botslab products. In complete honesty, as a brand, they weren't even on my radar prior to taking a look at this camera, but I think they probably should be from now on. Although they don't have the largest selection of security cameras, there's certainly some interesting ones. And I'll leave a link below where you can find the Botslab W312 for the cheapest price, so make sure you go and check them out. What do you think? Do you think this is something that might be a good option for those that don't want to spend £1 billion on security system? Let me know in the comments. I'll be sticking around for the next hour or so replying to everyone, so make sure you drop down there and say hi. But other than that, guys, I will see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.